The Justice Resource Institute, or JRI, is trying to let more people know about the programs that help provide opportunities and independence. To bring us up to date are two guests from JRI, the President and CEO, Andy Pond, and the Vice President for Community Engagement, Ed Powell. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Glad to be here.
I want to start with Ed in the community engagement part of this. You help people in need, so I guess they'll come to you, but I guess you have to do a bit more than that.
Yeah, well, what we're trying to do, particularly with this open house, is get people to come in and talk to the program leaders so they can make connections. Because what we're finding is we have a lot of impact in the Boston area, but very little notoriety in some cases. So what we're trying to do is get people to come to this particular event, meet some of the program leaders, and then we can make the necessary connections.
Andy, when you have a name, at least the original name, Justice Resource Institute, it sounds like the kind of place that you would get referred to because you got in trouble. But I guess that's not exactly the whole story.
Not the whole story at all. The simplest way that we talk about it is social justice, as opposed to sort of justice in the sense of criminal justice. We really, our goal is to help people, regardless of what challenges they're facing, tap into their inner strength, their resiliency to be able to achieve some happiness, some vocational success, family success, and we work really across all kinds of bounds. We're not quite the biggest nonprofit in the state, but we are by quite a bit the most diverse programmatically. So we serve kids, adults from a variety of backgrounds in a variety of ways.
Yeah, I suppose there's a connection here to some of your previous work in the Street Safe program in Boston, because part of that was to deal with kids who were at least at risk of going into the gang trajectory, and some of it was, I guess, when helping kids who've been traumatized.
Right, and what was a strategy we used with Street Safe was connecting young people with the services that they need that could get them consider another reality. And that's pretty much the same thing we're trying to get here, is to get people the services that they need that can help them move on to better situations.
Andy, related to that, you might have a kid who's growing up, and there's been some turmoil in the family, and the kid has some emotional problems. It's still a long way from looking at that kid as a criminal in the future, but you get some parents who say, I got to do something about this. So what can I get from you?
To be honest, as a parent myself of a 17-year-old boy, I certainly relate to that struggle. There are many challenges with kids these days, probably always, but I think more recently. And our goal is, in many ways, to prevent the kid from getting into the juvenile justice system. Sometimes they're there already. We try to help them then too. We do individual work, family work. We have parent partners. We have parents who have been through some of this themselves with their own kids, who are now trained to be mentors to parents who are sort of new to the system and trying to figure things out. So it's a kind of wraparound approach, and the goal, wherever possible, is to support the kid at home, where he lives, he or she lives. You know, all the news about DCF is one of our primary partners in government. That's part of our mission at JRI, is to partner with government. One of the things that you see that everybody recognizes as a challenge is that multiple placements, so kids that go from place to place to place and maybe back again and out again. I used to see kids, even 25 years ago when I started, that had 20 or 30 placements before they came to us at age 14 or 15. And I know that still is continuing. So the more that we can get in there early, wrap the services in, and provide what we're needed while still maintaining that critical piece, which is safety. That's, you know, always first. We can prevent not only the trauma that happens sometimes when a kid is in a dangerous situation, but there's real trauma associated with being moved around 20 or 30 times too. That in fact has been demonstrated by some research we've done to be one of the most traumatic things that you can do to a kid, is bumping around from place to place.
And in a lot of these horror stories we read about either foster placement or the Department of Children and Families, we get this impression that the adults in the equation are not going to help. But there must be cases where the adults can help, but they need someone to give them support.
That's probably 95% of it, right, Ed?
I mean, that's like Andy said, it's 95% of it. What we need to be in a position to do is to connect those people who want to do better to the services that they need.
So what kind of services, in addition to the ones that Andy mentioned?
Okay. If you are to come to this open house, if you are a family that is struggling with a kid who has behavioral or emotional issues, you should come. If you're a family that's struggling with identifying and coordinating community resources, you should come. If you're an LGBTQ youth and you want to come to a drop center where you can have a drop-in center where you can have an advocate who can walk you through whatever services you're looking for, you should come. You should come if you've been chronically unemployed. You should come if you have a family member who's in the Suffolk County system. The Sheriff Tompkins is going to be there with people from his staff. They have a Family First initiative that we've partnered with, and they want to provide wraparound services for the families that are of the people who are reentering into society. Also, we're going to have a representative from Maura Healey, Attorney General Maura Healey's office. And they have this concept where they go out into the neighborhoods and do these mobile offices. So if you have some business that you want to do with the AG's office, you should come to this open house. What we're really focusing on is individuals who can benefit from our programs or partners who are offering something that we don't offer, but we need to be able to help our clients get that service if they need it.
Yeah.
Andy, I mean, sometimes what you're offering sounds pretty simple, like a safe place where a kid can do homework. Why is that so important?
It's interesting. I was actually we had a fundraiser last night, and for folks to donate to a fund that we have for kids to get backpacks or summer programs. And in some cases, a backpack or a safe place to study is worth as much or more than a bunch of individual therapy sessions. Those basic things that I think many of us took for granted growing up, if they're not available to you, you're going to either get in with the wrong crowd, which is something that Ed knows a lot about, or you may withdraw, or you might try to hurt yourself, or you might run away. One of the other programs that we didn't mention that actually gets a fair amount of coverage is My Life, My Choice, which is our anti-prostitution program for teen girls and teen boys. Now we've really added into the mix. So our goal at JRI is to, in many cases, we can be one-stop shop and you can come in and we can find what you need. But if we can't find it within our agency, we want to find it externally. And part of Ed's job, and he's been helping me tremendously here, is that, in the city of Boston, there's no shortage of good ideas. There are tons of programs, tons of initiatives, lots of small nonprofits that are doing amazing work, but they are not always as connected or integrated as they could be. So that's one of our roles, we think, in not only in service provision, but to try to pull people together a little better so that it's easier for families to navigate.
And Ed, we should let people know about that open house in Dorchester.
Okay, the open house is happening on October 15th. It's a Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Great Hall, which is located at 6 Norfolk Street.
Right in the middle of Codman Square.
Right in the middle of Codman Square.
Right.
It's a walkthrough event. We're not looking for people to stay a long time. We just want them to be able to look at, talk to people who are program leaders, get the information they need, and at a later date we can follow up with them.
Right. And Andy, anything that people can check out online or something?
Sure. We have our website, which is www.jri.org. We'll have information about the open house up on the landing page for that. We do have a phone number if anybody's has an interest in that. It's 857-399-1905, and it's extension 2502. James Wilson is the name of the fellow who's making sure that if you need something from us or you want to have any questions about it, he can answer them.
Thank you both very much, Andy Pond and Ed Powell from JRI.